Right, here we are again with the Dansette Major Deluxe. There's the frame there, it's all been sanded down, it's ready to go. And what I've actually got, I've got this, it's actual vinyl cloth, it's not actual Rexine, so if you want to have a go with vinyl cloth, I'm going to try this one with vinyl cloth. Now, it's not very thick, but it has got some sort of cloth backing, so the glue we're going to use with this, I was toying with the idea of a PVA adhesive, but because of the vinyl backing, I don't know whether to go with a contact adhesive, so I'm not too sure yet, I'm going to work that out. So, as you probably know, with the Major we've got here, the front piece of this is going to be obviously in the white covering, the leather cloth. So what I've actually done is I've just placed that onto a sheet, the whole sheet of the vinyl cloth, and I've allowed enough to basically overlap the whole front of the unit. Well, if I go to there actually, I've allowed enough to go right over the top, right over the front. I'm not worried about the sides because all the sides are going to do, just like the original unit, is have a small overlap around the front and around the sides basically. So all I'm looking at is getting one complete piece from underneath right round to the top, so that all this is in one basic unit. So as a result of that, what I've actually done, I've marked out and cut along there. And I've also just got to cut along this line here, which will take me up to this underneath line there, just beyond it, so I've got a little bit of space to play about with. So as you can see, all we're basically left with is what's possibly going to be our front cover, and it is in this lovely white vinyl cloth basically. It has got a little bit of give in it, not a lot, but a little bit of give, so I'm hoping that will help when it comes to probably going around the corners, whereas a normal Rexine is actually very solid. So one thing I've been told that you've got to watch out when using this type of cloth is that your hinges and your catches can sometimes not fit properly, so you don't want to be doubling up too often, so you have to sort of take that into consideration when you're coming to do panels like the side panels and the wraparounds for the lids and that. You don't want too much bulky material, otherwise the lids won't close down properly. So there's our panel there. So what I've got basically to do now is just decide what type of glue to put on here. I'm going to get some little inserts just to put on the inside of the corners first, and then I can start obviously gluing it up and pulling it around and sealing it all up. Right, so all I've done here is just apply some contact adhesive on the corners of the actual unit, and I'm just applying some contact adhesive to a thin strip of the actual vinyl cloth. Just spread it about a bit, making sure I get it on all parts of the vinyl cloth. And all I'm going to do is basically let that go off for a few minutes. As you can see, that's all I've done there. And I'm just going to snip this off to length and then just gently insert it into the corners. Right, okay, so I've basically just inserted the little bits I've cut off, as you can probably see, into the corners, and it does pull quite nicely around, but as you can see I'm left with these little raised surfaces there. So all I'm going to do with a sharp blade here, for example, is just literally cut round the edge, so we're left with that. There we go. So all four corners are basically trimmed, but internally, as you can probably see, they've got a white covering there, so I'm okay with that. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do now is to hopefully attach this vinyl cloth to the box. I've lined everything up. I've got a straight edge on my table there, as you can probably see, and I've lined the straight edge of the vinyl cloth along with that, and I've also lined up the groove there on the back sides of this unit that goes underneath. I've just allowed a bit of an overlap there, so that's what I've done there. So technically speaking, in this position, I should be able to fold up and then start cutting into place me vinyl cloth. So what I've got to do now is apply some glue, obviously, to the surface of this, on the top edge there, and then I'll have to, obviously, when I make this stick, I've then got to flip it over and do the bottom edge. So that's what I'm basically going to do now. Right, so basically all I've done there is just put a few relief cuts in, and now all I've got to do is just trim up and glue down, and let's see where we are with that. Right, well, here we go. I've finished the front section. Let's just turn it up and show you. There's the underneath, and as you can see, I've gone around the sides just like the original. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a good finish on that. So it doesn't look too bad. It's definitely a lot thicker to use than the Rexine. So as I say, I'm just going to let this sit now before I do any more. And there's a silver strip that goes along there. So technically speaking, these undercuts there, which are in the corners there, they will be covered in basically. So next time I won't do such a brutal cut there, I don't think. But all in all, the surface ain't too bad. It's not pulled nice and tight anyway. So as you can see, going around the bottom or underneath. So this is my first time doing it with this vinyl cloth. So again, I may or may not be doing it to the correct procedure, but I've got the end result, which I think is going to look okay anyway. As I say, there's a strip that goes along there on the top there, a brass strip. So and once you get the speaker grill in place, I should be pretty happy. It's nice and flat on the top there. So yeah, so I'm just going to carry on now and finish doing this. Right, as you can see now, I've done the front bit now and nearly finished the top. I've just got to put a panel in down the sides there. But as you can probably see, this is quite thick, this stuff. I mean, let's show you the thickness of that there. I mean, this is what you call leather cloth, basically, and it's actually quite thick. So it's not the ideal material to cover. And the places where you get problems is where you go, your overlaps stick out, the cut edge sort of sticks out. But what I'm toying with the idea of doing with this is just perhaps putting maybe a bead of silicone down there, or maybe just touching that in with some white dye, just to where the glue is basically on show a little bit. But all in all, I mean, it's a nice job. It's a pretty nice job, and it's going to look okay when it's done. But really, Rexine is a lot thinner. It's like paper. So this stuff is okay. It causes you more hair growth than anything, because compact impact adhesive I've been using with this, it sticks it down a tree, it goes off lovely once you let it go tacky. But realistically, I'm looking at possibly using, as I say, some sort of thinner material, something like Rexine in thickness, is like paper basically, and using probably a PVA adhesive, and you won't get such a large overlap as you can probably see there. You know, that's just a bit of glue there which I've been rubbing, but that does come out. It will come off. That's only where the glue's gone black. So I mean, if you're going to have a go at doing these, I mean, and you've seen leather cloth for sale, I mean, with like a fibre backing, it does give a little bit. It's like stretchy a little bit, so it's not the ideal material. Rexine had no giving it whatsoever. And also, as I say, for the overlaps you're going to do, which you're going to inevitably get, you know, the Rexine won't show as much as what these basically do. But I'll show you the finished result when I finish it anyway. Right, with the lid, I'm going to try. I've got some normal Rexine here, as you can see. Look, it's a lot thinner, like paper. So I'm going to go with the red on this, and I'm just going to try this only because I wanted to see what it went like, as opposed to having the actual vinyl cloth. So I've cut a piece out for doing the lid. I've basically allowed for an overlap to go around the sides. I'll just tuck it under, and I've allowed it to go down the back as well. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with the corners on this yet, so we're going to play it by ear. But first of all, I'm going to, rather than use the impact adhesive, I'm going to probably use this PVA glue. So I'm going to apply it with a sponge to the complete covering, and let's see how we go with that. here we go. I've just finished the lid off now. Now all I will say is that if you're going to recover one of these, do not use the leather cloth with the fabric backing. It's about 1 millimetre thick, because you will have a devil's own job, and it won't stick with PVA glue, that's for sure, like this. But with the Rexine, as you can see, the Rexine has actually gone on fantastically. Let me just rotate that round. All the way around the Rexine, I've done all the way around, and also I've also done the inside lid of the Rexine, as you can see. And you don't have really any problems at all. It's probably like the original, you don't have any problems with the joins, as opposed to this stuff, this vinyl cloth, which I won't be getting again. So I'm normally used to doing them in Rexine. As I know, Rexine is very, very forgiving. You can just see the underneath a little bit there, but you see that on the originals when it's originally done. But this stuff, as I say, not very good for finishing edges. You get the raised edge on the white stuff. Even though what I'm going to possibly do with that is to I may put a smear of silicone, white silicone around the edge there, or some white dye, just to take that edge, soften that edge a bit, basically. But as I say, you don't actually get that when you overlap with the Rexine. So if you're going to recover a record player, don't do it with the leatherette or vinyl cloth. It has to be the paper thin stuff, like this. Well, like this is Rexine paper cloth, I think this is called. Very, very thin that you can actually rip it. Well, so you can rip it. There you go. I've just ripped it with my hand, look. So that's how thin that stuff is. But it's got a nice durable finish on it. It's a waterproof finish, and you have no problems in the recovering. Well, I'm going to finish this off now. You'll see the whole completed finished result in the next video. There you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it's been of some help to you anyway.